For the past 2 years, I've been using the Panasonic G85 as my main workhorse camera. I've been using it on both personal and YouTube videos, as well as client videos for commercials and event videos. And in this video, I'll be talking about whether or not the Panasonic Lumix G85 is worth having or buying today. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know, my name is Anton Wong, and on this channel I help understand, unlock, and unleash the power of online video with videos about video production, media marketing, and career and business development. So if any of this interests you, hit subscribe. But onto this video, is the Panasonic G85 still worth it? Well, to answer that, we're gonna have to go into a little bit of history and talk a little bit more about the camera. So the camera's full name is the Panasonic Lumix DMC-G85. Wow, that is quite a mouthful. It was also called the G80 for the European models, as well as G81, I think, for their German models. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be talking about the G85, which is the one that I have. It was released back in 2016 as a follow-up of sorts to the Panasonic G7 camera. Priced around $1,000 during its release, it was released and marketed as a more consumer type of camera with some pro-like features. It was introduced when the hybrid photo video camera that was a mirrorless body was kind of already taking shape. Now let's get into some of the specific features of the camera. This camera has a 16 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. The body itself also contains 5-axis in-body image stabilization, which can be paired with a lens to create dual IS, as Panasonic calls it. For video, it records up to 4K UHD, up to 30 frames per second in MP4 format, and up to 1080p 60 frames a second in AVC HD format. The body itself is weather sealed and contains a flip out articulating screen, and it also has one mic input jack for audio recording. This video is just going to be talking about the camera's video capabilities and whether or not it would be a good video camera for YouTubing and for producing client projects. So, is it a good YouTube camera? Well, here are some reasons why I think it is a good YouTube camera and also a good client video camera. First point I like about the camera is that it has the greatest stabilization, in-body stabilization that I've ever seen on a camera. The 5-axis stabilization in body paired with the lens stabilization and also possibly digital stabilization when you're editing in post. That's just so much stabilization, especially for someone who wants to shoot handheld like I do when I go to shoot events or when I go vlogging. I bought this camera right before I went on a trip to the East Coast and I vlogged the whole trip. It was very smooth. It very well kept up with me walking and talking and the footsteps. I also used it to record some event video, highlight videos, and it worked very well because I liked shooting handheld. The small form factor of the camera is also really good because the ergonomics of it are just large enough for my hands to feel like I'm holding something substantial, especially with the grip, but the camera itself is very light and light enough that I don't get very tired carrying it around. The option for custom white balance, as well as having certain preset color looks, allows for you to have, well, certain looks if that's what you want for your vlogs. Also, the flip out touchscreen is kind of a must now for anyone who wants to vlog. I tried vlogging before without a flip out screen and it's just, I don't like not knowing whether or not I'm in frame or in focus or something like that. Also, there is the mic jack for external audio, which you can use an external audio device. Like right now, I'm using the Rode Wireless Go. Now, the good things about the camera kind of end there. There are, of course, bad sides to the camera. So what are they? Well, the thing that I mentioned earlier is that it is a 16 megapixel micro four thirds camera. And if you guys know anything about image sensor sizes, the smaller the image sensor size is, the harder it is for it to perform in low light. And because micro four thirds is a 2x crop as compared to full frame cameras, it, well, just doesn't do very well in low light. The best you can get out of it is 1600 without introducing too much noise. Otherwise, you're going to need a fast lens in order to keep up in low light situations, even if you can possibly stand a chance, which this is not the camera for that. And another thing I really don't like about this camera is the autofocus. It just drives me insane. Like, it's hunting all the time. Like, it'll work in a pinch, but I have rarely ever used the autofocus really on any video. and definitely not on any client videos because I just can't rely on it. Another thing is that the recording formats that it is in, it doesn't give as much of an option for recording in 4K 60 frames per second or 180 frames per second like G85 does. There's also no neutral log format in this camera. I know that even though it's an 8-bit camera, it won't look that great, but the G95 actually does come in with built-in Vlog. And the 4K on this camera is cropped and really only goes up to 30 frames per second. So should you get this camera in this year? Well, that kind of depends. The camera itself is actually quite cheap. You can purchase it for around $600 or $700 US with or without the lens. And if you're on a budget, you can probably find a good used camera for maybe $300 US. If you're on a budget and you're someone who likes to shoot a lot of handheld footage, like you like vlogging and holding the camera out, then yeah, this would be an excellent camera because the image stabilization is probably my favorite part of this camera for this price point. But if you want something better with autofocus and low light for this budget range, yeah, this is not the camera for you. Maybe you want to check out the Canon M50 or the Sony a6400. But for myself, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep this camera? Probably. I'm probably going to keep this camera. But I'm probably going to get another camera to maybe have this one become my B camera or my second camera. When I first got this camera, it was amazing for the time. 2 years ago when I bought it, it was a huge upgrade from the Nikon D3200 that I was shooting everything on. I was so blown away at the possibilities that I could finally do. I could finally do slow motion in full 1080p. I could finally record 4K. I could finally record time lapses without having to have an intervalometer. It's just built into the camera and it's such a small camera, but so nimble. But now that I am growing my skills and also growing my business, I think that it's time that I start getting cameras that offer me more possibilities. Something like the GH5, maybe something like the Sony a7 III. But at this point, I think it'll be more important, and something I want to stress to you guys is it's oftentimes more important to think of the stuff around the camera. So things like the lenses, my lighting equipment, my audio equipment, my stabilization equipment, set dressing. Spending more money on those kinds of things will probably oftentimes achieve better results. And of course, I should spend more time learning my own skills in addition to just getting gear and getting camera equipment. But what do you guys think? Those are just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below if you are planning to get a G85 yourself this year. I don't know. I'll leave some affiliate links down in the description down below if you're interested in buying. If you guys want to check out another video of mine, you can click right up there. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this camera, if you plan on buying it for yourself or if you plan on getting another camera. Or maybe you're just watching this video for fun or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, take care, bye.